What's going on, my high vibrational people? It's your boy Inside 11, and right now I'm discussing with you today why parents beat their children and why it even goes that far to that conclusion. So hopefully, if you're an older person watching this, if you've been doing this to your kids, or if you're a young person who's been through this, hopefully this video gives you some kind of illumination, some kind of insight and understanding as to why we even reach that position in the first place. When parents beat their children, when parents want to expose their kids to some form of physical harm, especially when it's done by them, because parents don't usually like to see their kids being harmed by somebody else, because otherwise most parents would jump in if they see their kids being harmed by somebody else, but it might get that far. So a lot of the reasons is this because a lot of parents don't know or don't have time to deal with their own psychological phobias, their own psychological traumas, their own unconscious worries, doubts, and fears. And so, in their mind, they can't really deal with that. They haven't even dealt with that themselves. So, they don't know how to deal with whatever you're developing as a form of fear, phobia. And at the beginning, it doesn't even stem as that, but that's what it develops into later. You start to have this hate, this resentment against your mother and father for doing things that didn't necessarily make sense. But there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only 7 days a week, and there's only 31 days or 30 days a month. So between all that time, people want to save their time. People don't necessarily want to sit there, mentor you, talk to you, and understand your feelings and things like that. Because adults have responsibilities and things like that. So when you can't control a child, when you can't have a child obey your orders, but key word is you're given an order. There's a child. You're not supposed to necessarily command this kid. You're supposed to understand this kid's energetical wave patterns and shit like that. Why is this kid expressing himself that way? Okay, why is this kid reacting and responding to this extremes when I do this? And so you really have to give yourself time to understand a child point of view, because we all live in worlds of our own world. We all live in worlds of our own making, because when we incarnated into this dimension, you had a date of birth, you had a name given to you, and these things created an energetic embodiment within you, a frequency, a wave, and a vibration that is alive, because the Word of God is alive. So you are the Word of God, and you are walking alive. But so we give up our thoughts and feelings into a dead corpse outside of us, where if it's a religion, whether it's a form of a child care, there's nothing wrong with child care, plays and things like that. But because we have so little time to understand what's going on around us, because we're constantly running on the rat race, because we're constantly running and trying to get safety, security, and material to maintain a form of shelter, whether it's for us, for our family, a lot of the times that can put us in situations as adults to lack understanding with what's going on with our children and what's going on inside of their own personal worlds. Because when I was a child, I had my own way of reacting to things. If I saw my brother get screamed at, for example, I felt that very deeply in my heart. That would penetrate deeply into my membranes, into my memory. So regardless of what he's going through, whether it's his perception, whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, those things don't really exist either way. It's just perception of what we built in our mind, which creates our reality and things like that, which can lead you to hate your parents and things like that, kind of like me, for example. Because as a child, you don't really understand those things. You don't understand why your parents had to do what they had to do. But like I said, we all have a limited amount of time to understand what's going on around us. And the dominant culture, they understand that they need to keep us on the rat race, constantly running, so we don't just get off the wheel and just start to figure out, like, hey, y'all ever notice like we just keep running and running and running in circles, and we don't get nowhere? So it's a really crazy thing, because an individual, a father and a mother, needs to take time to understand their child's mental disposition. Because me, I was an extremely sensitive kid. I could sense everything that's going on, but again, in a way, it was kind of like too much, because when you see a lot of things going on in the dark, and you want to just live your life as a child, it put me in a position where I was crying all the time. I was angry all the time, because I felt like I understood more than the average person. But me growing up and seeing that my father had to go to a job, and especially even growing up as a kid, seeing how my mother like beat us and things like that, which is not a horrible thing that can happen to you. I'm sure a lot of people go through worse, but the point is to extract the lessons from those. Because when I talk to my parents, they started to tell me, oh, you know, we don't really have time. Like my mother, especially, she said, yeah, she was talking to her friend on the phone, because that's all the women do most of the time. They just be like, oh, all day, whatever, right? And then her friend was like, because she probably wanted more time to talk on the phone, and she's like, yeah, you know, these kids, they never shut up. So she gave her ability of creative solutions to somebody else, and her friend was like, oh yeah, 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 just, you know what I do? I just beat them niggas asses up. Yeah, I just beat them kids. I whoop their ass left and right, and you know, eventually they just shut up. Yeah, they cried a little bit, but you know, eventually they shut up. They just learn. So that's the solution that my mother employed and deployed upon us, based on another mother who's actually kind of a failure in a way, because she did not put the time in to nurture her children that needed nurturing. So now growing up as, you know, 24 years old, I literally did not receive, or felt like I received the nurturing that I needed. So now I have to go outside of me and get that nurturing from other people, places, and things, because that part of me is depleted. It's never been fulfilled. So what do you think is gonna happen when a part of your chakras, a part of your brains is depleted, damaged, hurt, or you're going through some kind of phobia, trauma, or fear in that area? You're gonna go run outside to the outside world and try to get some kind of form of fulfillment. Whether you're gonna try to do some a massive amount of drugs, or you're gonna try to do some, you're gonna join some kind of like cult, or whatever you're gonna do to like try to fulfill that space in you of being devalued and things like that. And so even when children grow up and their parent and their children go buck wild, they go cuckoo, they do some crazy shit. The parents, they stand there and they can't understand why that's going on, because the parents themselves have not even took the time to understand why they would even go out of their way and give the ability of creative solution to somebody else to give them a solution. Kind of like how we, you know, expect the government to fix everything, rather than us employing our community and our resources to fix the problems ahead. And we can even get the funding from the government to do that, because when they see, okay, this community does this and this and that, okay, what's this community doing that's so different? Shit, maybe we need to practice in other places. But you know, the government obviously never lets that shit happen, because you know they need you to listen to their solutions and shit like that. So you know, a lot of the times, man, parents, they don't really have time, nor do they see the necessity in employing that, because it's all about survival, survival, survival. I need. But like, you pass on this generational curse as if it's okay, but it's really unfavorable for the human condition of growth and nurture and love and self-control. So that's why a lot of weak men today walking down the streets have no emotional self-control, because you know they didn't see that around them. They saw their mother and father go buck wild like a fireball all around the place when they just did the little thing. When they did, for example, my father is a Virgo moon and things like that. So you know he's very tidy, he's very neat. You know he likes things to be very clean and shit like that. So you know there could be the smallest error, and this nigga would go buck wild, buku, bruh, buku like Goku, Super Saiyan all over the place. Start flying. His mind state starts flying all over the room, and you feel that fireball everywhere. You're like, oh man. So you know, that's why it's very, very important. That's very, very important for today's parents to really take the time, and hopefully, I pray that you know you have a child on purpose, for purpose, because when you do that, then that child is getting ready to do something amazing for the world. And you know, man, it's really, really sad, because the conditions that society has created for you to even have children. This is why the Elohim in Torah or the Bible or whatever did not want to let mankind replicate without an angel being present, because the way mankind is replicating right now is based on desires, it's based on selfishness, it's based on lust, it's based on worry, it's based on doubt, it's worry on fear. Some people will bring a child into this world just so they can go cash a check from the government. Like, but you don't understand that behind closed doors, they actually supporting that type of behavior, and they actually want you to go and do that type of shit, because they know what you're bringing into the world, and they know that you can't control what you brought into the world. So they already have the metric systems employed to put that child into jail. And guess what? Why is there so many jails being built all over the world? Because this is a business. So they're in the business of imprisonment your spirit, down to imprisoning you goddamn physically. So this is why, like, your children is not even your children. It's the government children. It's the Vatican children. They know what they're about to do with them, but you don't know what you're about to do with them. So you have children not for purpose, and not on purpose, just by accident. And you wondering why your children running around crying everywhere, having these traumas and dramas that they don't even understand. Like, this is why the next generation, as parents, we have to do better. We have to show people that, you can have children on purpose, for a purpose, and not just. And having children is not bad for any reason, but when you bring a spirit down here, there's all these plethora of spirits in the ether and things like that. There's all these spirits in the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth dimension, and you can bring some actual real ancestors, some real spirits, some real predecessors, some shit that ain't never existed before. But that existence will be the shit because it's never been seen before. Because the conditions that you have created to even have that child will be like none other. But you have to begin to create that circumstance in your mind so that circumstance can start to bend in physically, because it starts with the mentality. If you're always running around horning like a dog, that's what you're getting ready to do. You're getting ready to bring a child into this world that's, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, depending on how you transmute that energy, it might just be a child that go to jail 1,000 times, try to kill themselves, and we can deal with those things no problem, because all energy can be transmuted. But this is why we're very unresponsible people. So you're wondering why you in the third dimensional vessel. You're wondering why you in the goddamn third dimension, because you having thoughts and feelings, but you can't even run that shit. So why the fuck would God want you near Him, having all these children, giving birth to all these children out of your mind that you don't even know what to do with? Like for real, man, for real. You've ever been next to a person that's just always worried, always doubtful, always feeling crazy in their mind, always feeling I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but eventually you might want to get away from that influence if you don't understand the energy that's going on. Because if you're a smart exorcist or a smart psychologist or a smart occultist, you would understand, okay, I can take that energy current and I can transmute that into something else. I can show this person, they can take their energy. And because look, there's a lot of people in that group of fear, doubt, unbelief, crazy, whatever. I would love to see a crazy person, a person who is full of fear, a person who's full of doubts, go through some kind of transformation so they can show other crazy dudes how to go through that transformation, because they want to do that, bro. You better believe they want to change. They just don't know how to change, man. It's hard for people to change, man. So, because I seen this all around me, bro. So it's like, people just don't know how to change. People don't know how to get outside of their own mind. People think the mind that they have right now is the only mind they can ever have. They don't think they can actually give birth to anything different. So, man, if you're having children, if you have children right now, if you're about to have children, just please understand that this child lives in a complete world of their own. And however you see things, like literally however you receive information and light, that child is not seeing shit the same whatsoever. To that child, you just might be the biggest demon in the world they ever seen. So you gotta start doing the work on yourself. You gotta start doing the shadow work on yourself, so that at least when you start to have kids, at least they won't be some again, I'm not saying like anything is good or bad, but we want to create the highest possible good, not for ourselves, for other people as well, because that child is going to go onto the world, and hopefully you want that child to do the most benevolent things onto other people, places, and things. They do onto others as you want it done onto you. So you got children right now walking around with traumas, psychological phobias, and all types of shit that don't see the worth and value in themselves. They see some worth and value in you, and they want to rob you of all that worth and value, in fact, and degrade you, because you think you somebody, and in their mind, you not that. Especially if you're a prophet in your own hometown, man, your friends ain't never gonna accept what you're trying to be. Trust me, I'm going through this right now. I was trying to show all my friends this information, this knowledge, this transformation. You know what they try to do? They try to make me take the back seat, depress me, possess me, hopefully, and then take what I freaking developed on my mind and walk around as if they developed that on their mind first, and go around to people, places, and things. This is what I would always think, because a demon is always going to test you. They're going to be like, okay, does this shit actually work? Okay. Let me be buddy with this person, all that good shit. So we don't need no more children like that onto the world, bro. Everybody's gifted, everybody talented. I don't even care if you're in the mental asylum right now, watching this video in jail. They should probably put this video in every goddamn jail in America, in Canada, worldwide. Because a lot of these prisoners, they want to change, man. You think people don't want to change? You don't think people want to beautify themselves? You don't think people want to be helpful for a real cause? Like, this shit is crazy, bro. So, real shit. Like, parents, we gotta start understanding why we even develop children like that. You gotta start paying attention to these kids' actions and reactions to things. You gotta be able to assist them and guide them properly, so they can transform and be a benefit not to themselves but to other people as well. And then they can set an example for this goddamn demonic horde ass of a world where everybody's just stuck in their feelings. Nobody can gather data and information and use their angelic nature and get outside of this bullshit. You know, man. So it's a very crazy world we live in. Because you gotta remember, you as a parent, you just renting your kids. You're just the pair that rented. So don't go out there like your kids is yours or something like that. No, your kids are borrowed and they are, they're paid. They're paid for with a price. So you make sure you take care of them, because your kids, they really trying to take care of you because they're really just reflecting your own nature. So you don't go crazy when your kid is crying. You go understand why they crying, and kids is emotional and things like that, and you gotta help them understand. But you can't get angry and pissed off and mad at them just because they're just growing up and they don't understand what's going on around them. Like, you're gonna give them some kind of psychological trauma and drama, man. That's not cool. That's not good for nobody. They're not gonna go out there and do nothing benevolent for nobody else. So real shit, man. All parents gotta do better, including myself. I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm gonna be a parent in the future, and this is why I'm doing this video, because I understand this shit, because I've seen this shit enough. Everywhere, in every part of the world, this shit exists. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, you got some, man. I'm telling you. You got some people that run the world that know exactly what they're doing, and they really just gonna use your children to build their world, and really everybody's gonna be happy, depressed, but that's gonna be seen as the right thing to do for society, just for you to maintain, to settle for something that's less than what you is. And if you accept that contract, you ain't never gonna manifest what God has planned for you or what God has planned for your children, so you guys can see the new light of day instead of being in China seeing freaking dark clouds every day. You never see the sun. They're gonna do that to you guys mentally. The same story that happened to Job, that's what happened to you. And God took away all your glory and all that. God wants to say, okay, what you gonna do now? I took now you can't see what I've given you because you've chosen this. Let's see now if you can actually have faith, you can get that back. So that's what they're trying to do to you. The Job spell. They want to have a dark cloud following you everywhere you go, and your children at that, and the generation to come, because they know how to transmute that demonic energy. But it's gonna backfire on them anyways, because it's like God see what they doing. But since they occultists, they magicians, they blackmail and black magic everybody and everybody and their mama they can to maintain their rulership. Yeah, they just gonna do it. But we're very smart people, we're very intelligent people, and we're very spiritual people, and we have the power of the spirit. That's what makes us so dangerous. That's what makes them so afraid of us. So they have to keep this fear program going, because this shit benefit them so much, but it only benefit like a few groups of people. What about your group of people? What about the black people in America? What about the black people in Sudan? What about the black people all over the world? What about the white people everywhere? Man. So parents, please do better. Children don't deserve to be treated like that. They're just trying to understand. We're just trying to learn. That's all. That's all we're asking for. We're just trying to understand.